Hello everyone, welcome to Heart's Happiness Podcast. The place where I, Manpreet, share my journey of healing intergenerational family trauma to help you to understand your story. I share a bunch of tools and tips that will transform your mental health and allow you to find your own heart's happiness. So exciting, right? Each episode will cover one of three areas. 1, raising awareness of what this trauma actually is and how it hides in our lives. 2, tools, tips, support, lots of different things that I've used to get better and heal from this trauma. And 3, I'll be connecting you with so many specialists and therapists and coaches as guests on my show. So we are going to transform your mental health and empower you to take your healing by the hands and move forward. Hello, my loves. Welcome back for another episode of Heart's Happiness. I can't believe that it's December already. Like, this year has just flown by. And I feel like every month I've kind of really remember the energy of each of the months, like January, February, March, April. And I can't quite believe I'm recording the first episode of December and we're wrapping up this year. That's just insane to me. And I've been reflecting on what to share with you today going into the festive period, just reflecting on like my sessions and what I've been dealing with this year as well. And there's been so much around relationships. So not just romantic, but friendships and family relationships. So I really wanted to go into anxious attachment today and my ways to support you during this festive period. So there's a lot of feelings that go into this month, right? So we're maybe feeling obligated to see family, and that might bring some anxiety within us. We may be feeling some loneliness. Maybe we haven't got the people around us that we hoped. Maybe we're estranged from family. Maybe there's been loss. So there's a lot that can come around from this time of year, just from the expectations of what we're supposed to have. And then bring in like childhood trauma and anxious attachment. And you've got like a real cocktail for like fun. So I have done a free survival guide to help you through Christmas, to help you with relationships specifically. So any difficult people that you're going to be around. So I decided to create this because this time last year, I wrote a blog about emotionally immature parents because I was inspired by something that happened in my family. And that blog doubled my mailing list, like the blog I did for Tiny Buddha. So I think, and it was sort of this time of year, Christmas, and I think it's just a time when it's really highlighted what we're dealing with. So you can get that guide, that free survival guide to support you with emotionally immature parents and with family members, in the link in the episode notes, or you can just drop me a message on Instagram or email me and I'll send you the link. It's completely free. So just a little gift from my heart to yours to support you, not just this time of year, but just any time that you're dealing with those difficult kind of people, to be honest. So enjoy. I hope you enjoy it because I have been trying to put these strategies in my own life, to be honest. And today I wanted to talk to you about a different one to help you understand why you get so anxious about relationships. So have you ever felt that you sit there and you spend so much time worrying and feeling anxious that other people don't like you, that people are not choosing you, that you're being left out, and feeling very insecure around certain relationships? Like, it could be friendships, it could be romantic love, it could be your family members. You may have even noticed that you've been feeling like that most of your life, and that is due to your attachment type. Now, I have done a podcast on all of the attachment types before, episode number 23, and I'll put that in the episode notes. So I have done one about absolutely every single attachment type, but today I really wanted to focus on the anxious attachment sort of type. So this is the type of person that sits there and worries a lot about relationships, not just romantic, but also friendships, etc. We sit there and we can kind of ruminate about whether people hate us, whether we're being left out. We can even go around chasing love and chasing relationships. We give more in relationships than we receive because we just really want to be liked. We really want to be seen. We really want to be part of like the tribe, but we always kind of feel a bit left out. We feel a little bit different. And it takes up a lot of our time and our energy when we're thinking about these things. So we might be the ones that just make all of the effort, and then when we stop making effort, people just don't actually make it back for us. So it kind of reconfirms that people don't love us very much. And that's not true. Basically, I'm sure you are very, very lovable, but this comes from childhood, basically. This anxiety of worrying about whether we're loved or liked or we're enough or we are chosen comes from those early years and the attachments that we had with mum and dad, right? So for those of you who don't know my story, I reckon you all know it by now, but when I was growing up, my mum and dad were just very distracted by the environment. You know, my grandma was sick, we lived with an alcoholic granddad, and they were just very distracted by all the things going on. It wasn't because they didn't love me. There was times where I really did feel very much loved by them. I felt like I had their attention, but there was a lot of the time, majority of the time, that I didn't. And that was that anxiety that built from such a young age, where I would feel that real loneliness because they would be distracted and they wouldn't be present with me. And that's where that kind of anxious attachment really, really started to build. So it comes from a really young age. And naturally more of a worrying child. I'm much more of a giving child, not just naturally, but that's kind of how I've been conditioned. So, you know, doing whatever I could to get those little crumbs of love as a child, and then feeling like I have to give lots in order to receive love. And I have to be good, and I have to, you know, question and overthink and be hyper vigilant about maybe they don't love me. Maybe I've been too loud today. Maybe I've not been kind enough today. Maybe I was too flamboyant today. So this is kind of in a child brain, what was going on for me as a little girl. And then it continued as I got older. And if anything, it just got so much worse, because this imprint that I had from childhood became the foundation of every single relationship that I had afterwards. So I felt anxious in many, many relationships. Even when the love was there, I would question if they would really, really love me. And if they didn't contact me or make effort with me, or, you know, respond to my connection, even sometimes where I might reach out and say I'm really, really sad, or I'm in need of connection, they wouldn't respond, because often what had happened was I had got drawn to people who were very much like my parents. So they were not people that could hold space for emotions or my pain, right? So I've spoken a lot about real toxic relationships where, you know, the other people are taking much more than they were giving, and also, you know, using that power that they had over me. So you know, the fact that I was this doormat and just desperate for the crumb of love. But this also played out in friendships as well that were much, much, much healthier, but where I had created the dynamic where I gave more than I received, and then feel a little bit upset. And even though that they may have been capable to give, or they may be just on the avoidant attachment spectrum. So that means that rather than chasing, they sort of avoid relationships, avoid intimacy, avoid connection. They kind of run away and shut down. It's a little bit different. And so we basically keep repeating these patterns that we had as children in all of our relationships. And then we can spend so much time ruminating about them, especially this time of year when it's really highlighted. And if you are doing work on yourself and you're really reflecting on the relationships and you're reflecting on how much you give and how much you receive, you might start to notice things about relationships that you hadn't seen before, which can flare up that anxious attachment, because it's oh my God, you know, why am I not chosen? Why am I not loved? And it's going back to that feeling since you were young. And that's why then we start overthinking and our nervous system gets triggered and we go into fight or flight and we try to understand why we're not chosen, or it hurts so much that we get quite depressed and sort of just freeze and go into what we call our dorsal state. So we just kind of feel so overwhelmed by our emotions, and the other person has no idea. And even the other person could just be relatively normal. It's not a super toxic relationship, but they just don't give as much as you because they're not as capable as you, because you've been overgiving your entire life as a way of survival and they haven't. So they don't even realize that they're upsetting you in that way, or that you have these expectations of love because that's what you give, and you're trying to get it back, and you're trying to give more in the hope that you'll get back. Or maybe sometimes you do, and but that still doesn't feel enough. Or like, just even if they don't call you, or they don't respond to an email, or they don't tell you how they feel or something, like, it just creates that ruminating thought. So I just want you to notice if this is who you are, and if you put a lot of energy and thought into relationships, and understand it is that survival pattern since you were very, very small. And when you are doing it, noticing that, oh, my nervous system is activated right now, and it's telling me a whole story about what these people think about me, or if they like me or not like me. And it can even make us feel very, very lonely, because we feel like we're just not chosen, or we're just ignored, or we're just not important. But it's actually whatever to do with the other person. Like, they're just too busy, or they're too overwhelmed with their life, and they're actually not thinking out all about you. They're just thinking about themselves and their own need, like a lot of people out there in the world. But because of this anxious attachment, you are so sensitive to those behaviors that they're doing, right? So I just want you to notice that when this is happening, you are creating like a fight or flight or a freeze response. And that means that your inner child is not feeling safe, is not feeling seen, is not feeling loved, is not feeling connected. So using this as an opportunity to go within and tell yourself, the younger part of you, ask the younger part of you that's maybe missing their friends, or not feeling loved, or not, whatever the loneliness is coming up, and ask that part of you how old they are. And then kind of imagine yourself at that age and giving that part of you what she needed. So for me, when I was young, we moved about 5 times, I think, like loads of times, between the ages of 0 and 7. So I moved lots. So I was always longing for like a group of friends. I was always longing for connection. I got bullied in quite a few schools as well. So when I got to my school that I grew up in, I held on to those friendships through like dear life, like almost putting my fingers into them, because I just wanted so much to have a tribe. And I didn't always think about what were my needs, were they being met, what did I want in friendships. I just wanted a place to belong. And then I held on to those relationships for a really, really long time. And actually, maybe they weren't always still serving me, or maybe they had changed and I had still carried on trying to make them into like this family or something, and they just weren't that. So really understanding that sometimes we have held on to relationships, or even with our family members, like we can really do this with family members. Like we make so much effort with like our siblings and our cousins and our uncles and aunties, because we so want to belong. We so want that pain, that anxious attachment from childhood to go away. So we so want this tribe and we so want these people, but sometimes we're holding on so tightly to the ones that maybe cannot fulfill the needs that we had. Not because anything is terribly wrong with them, but just because they've got their own stuff and they're not the people. But when you start to learn how to love yourself the way you've always longed to be loved, to be the best friend, to be the best partner, to be the mum, to be the dad, when you start to do that and really hold space and capacity for your own emotions, you start to feel worthy of different kinds of relationships. Because I feel that when you grow up with this anxious attachment and therefore are giving so much like a nutcase, that you have such a bigger capacity to give. And that's such a beautiful thing, like that your trauma gave you this amazing capacity to give. But please allow it to be in a relationship where that is given back to you and that you are filled up by it. And know that they're not going to be able to take away those wounds of the past, because they are with your caregivers. It's not with them. And like starting to focus on noticing what relationships feel secure, feel safe, the ones you're maybe not ruminating over. What's so funny is that I've worked on myself for many, many years now, and I have a secure relationship with my husband. Like, I know he loves me, I know he's not going anywhere. He is like what I've always longed for, like that tribe, that family, like he totally is it. And my brain still will scan my relationships, every single person I know, and pick out the ones that don't feel safe. Like, it still will do it. The ones that maybe we're not as close as we used to be. Maybe they've changed. Maybe I've changed. Maybe like we haven't seen each other for a few years. Like, my brain will still ruminate on those people and those relationships, even though I have got all of my needs, not all of my needs, but I have a secure base. And that's what the trauma brain does. It's always looking for what's wrong. It's always looking for danger. And it's based on so much of the past, right? It's based on that information from when we were little. So if so-and-so doesn't like you, or so-and-so is not getting back to you, or things have changed, relationships have changed, maybe family dynamics have changed, you are still safe, you are still loved. And getting your brain to focus on the ways in which people are showing you love in your life. Maybe it's a colleague, maybe it's when you go get your coffee, maybe it's the way that your children look at you. Actually looking at the ways that love is coming into your life and the way that love is being shown to you, because then that can really soothe that anxiety in those relationships. Because when you're just focusing on the anxiety of these people are not close to me, I feel disconnected, then, and you're spending so much time and energy on that, you are not seeing all the ways that love is pouring into your life and connection is pouring into your life on a daily basis. It could be with your colleague, it could be with the person that you smile across on the train, it could be with your husband, with your children. You know, sometimes as well, people have built their families, they've got children, they've got their partners, but they're still longing for that love that they didn't have as a child. So their family doesn't feel enough for them. And I really feel like that was kind of like my dad and my mum's story. Like, they had their children, they had got married, but it still didn't feel enough because that pain was from before. And so, you know, show yourself, open your eyes, look at the full picture, at the way that people are showing you love. And if you're feeling unloved or disconnected from somebody, that's can be for so many reasons that are to do with them and where they're at in their life, and not to do with how amazing you are and how lovable you are, and how, you know, somebody that has the time and the space and the energy would give that to you. And maybe you're putting your attention and time on people who just don't have it available to them for whatever reason. That is not you. And it's not because maybe that they don't love you or whatever. It's because of those things, their own demons, their own traumas. So please, please, please let yourself off the hook. And then when you are going to all of these family gatherings and seeing friends and doing all these things, almost become detached, like as if you are watching a movie, and watch it really slowly, and watch slowly the interactions with everybody, you know, and really slowly notice those things. And maybe when you slow it down, you can see that actually others are struggling with things, and that's why they're not present, or that maybe they're speaking in a certain way, and it's not because they like hate you and disrespect you, it's because they actually hate themselves. So really, while you're around in these social occasions over this time of year, noticing it and not being in the interaction with them, but just watching it like a third person. That can really help with that attachment wounding, is actually the detachment of, you know, I'm not in this tug of war with you trying to get this love. I'm just watching and observing how you are in relationships and what you want and who you are now. And especially over the years and as we heal, the dynamics of relationships change. we change and we sort of go back into those relationships with the same eyes, but actually looking at them from a different lens. And that can be so powerful in the sense of not getting as triggered and as worked up and then coming home and not sleeping all night because you're overthinking the whole thing, but actually just seeing it all for what it is, which is that I think that person is struggling with this and that actually doesn't have anything to do with me. And the more and more as well that you reflect about what it is that you need and what you are giving to yourself, you can become clearer about what you want in other people as well. And you can set the intention, especially as we're going into a new year, of the kind of friendships and the people that you want to call in into your 2024. Like, is it people that are really good at problem solving or really good at just holding your hand while you cry? Or are they people that are really fun and when you go meet them, you can just forget about everything? Or are they people that you can really grow and learn from? Like, really thinking about what kind of relationships are going to make you feel full and make you feel good, rather than chasing the ones that make you feel anxious. Because you are lovable and you deserve to not keep repeating that same relationship pattern that you had ever since you were little. Like, you can have more than that. And also you can still love those that have been part of your journey for all of these years and just see them for what they are and where they are at and love them for there, and not be trying to get them to be something that they're just not, because that's not where they are in their journey. So for example, if you want somebody that can just hear you get sad about what's gone on this year, and they just can't be those people. Like, they can't sit with their own emotions. So just detach, accept the relationships for what they are, give yourself what it is that you need, and then be really clear about what are those things and where could you get that from somebody else, so you can have this co-regulation. I was having this conversation with my therapist the other day, and we were talking about relationships and this thing that it's amazing. Like, what I have with my husband is I can be with him and be regulated. Like, I can just hug him, we can chat. He just can help me bring into balance. And because I never had someone like him before, I didn't realize how many relationships were actually dysregulating, were actually causing me stress, were actually like putting anxiety thoughts into my mind, because those people's nervous systems and energy systems were all over the place. And then that was making me go into hypervigilance and like scanning everything. And, you know, you get to choose the energy that you spend with people and who feels good to your body and your energy system and who doesn't feel as great. And then going into those situations with that kind of detachment and sort of like looking at them on the screen. And the survival guide that I've written can really help you with these situations as well. So you are resourced when you're going into these situations and you feel like you can enjoy them and it's not going to deplete you, and you can come back and you can feel absolutely fine. And this also works when you go and you see family and they're like lashing out at you, or they're saying really inappropriate things, or they're being a little bit nasty. Because when you're detached from them and you are looking at them on the movie screen, you're not in the picture with them, and you can see, oh my God, they're really shaming me right now, but that's because of them. And taking a really deep breath, slowing down, and taking care of yourself. Now, if you feel like you can, of course, setting boundaries, expressing things, but sometimes in these situations, those people cannot hear because they are in such a world of pain themselves. So you can, even when you come home and maybe they've said something that's just like made you want to punch them in the face, you can kind of just in your own mind forgive yourself for whatever you did or did not do, and replay it back in your mind how you would by empowering yourself. So if you want to say, please don't speak to me like that, but in the moment you couldn't actually get those words out because you were all frozen. But actually you can come back, take care of yourself, give yourself a big hug, and give yourself what you need. And I know it's hard, like you might feel angry about the way you've been treated, and you might feel even shame because of the way that they had spoken to you. And you can come back into your own safe environment and do whatever it is that you need to do to discharge that. So whether it be scream, or whether it be punch something, or whether it be like being kind to your inner child, like whatever the tools are that you need to bring yourself back into balance. And if you don't know how to do that, guys, know that my signature course, Heal Your Inner Child, is now out. I will put the link in the episode notes as well. You can come and join us. We have a call every month. You have access to 12 weeks of modules. That space is open all year round, every year. So come and join us if you feel like, I don't really know what my tools are. I just, I'm learning from these podcasts, but I don't actually know, like I want to be more resourced. Come and join me, because that's what that space is all about. Obviously, you've got the free guide, but if you need something more, if like over the Christmas period, you're like, oh my God, I was anxious about all my relationships constantly and I can't take it anymore and I'm ready to become really detached from it, then come and join us with Heal Your Inner Child, because that's really helped me, that I can be around people that used to really activate me. I don't spend like loads of time with them or anything, but this time of year, you kind of end up spending more time with them. And I can be around them, and even when they're being attacking or saying something that's inappropriate, I can still find the balance within me, feel calm, take care of myself, not react, come away, take care of myself, and then put further boundaries in with them. If that might mean that I might not choose to see them for a bit, but not because I'm shaming them or telling them that they're like a piece of shit. Like, it's just because that's what I need to do to take care of myself. Like, becoming detached from those kind of relationships has really helped to be able to keep them in my life in some way. And some of them, are no longer in my life because they just felt too abusive and didn't respect any form of kind of boundaries. But some people, sometimes they're absolutely great and sometimes they're not. And just being able to use detachment, using that movie screen, using that self-protection, to be able to go, look, no matter what anybody else says or does, you're all right because you are amazing. Like, because your self-talk is so positive and kind and loving and nurturing that no matter what anybody does outside of you, it doesn't matter, because they are doing it because of their own like pain and because of their own traumas. And it actually isn't because you're not good enough. We can tell ourselves a whole story about what people think about us, but whatever they think, it's really none of our business. I've said this before, like, they can think whatever they like about you, but if you show yourself love and care, become your best friend, your mum, your dad, this anxious attachment wounding may always be part of you, and you just noticing, it's come up again. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I need to take care of myself. Maybe I'm feeling lonely. Maybe I need to give something to myself, rather than always looking for it outside of ourselves. And don't get me wrong, co-regulation is so, so important. I never realized how important until I had it with my husband. But it's such a nourishing thing for your soul to have those spaces with somebody that no matter what, they've got you. Like, and there's just not that many people in the world that are like that. Like, my parents are not those people, and bless them, and your parents and your siblings and your family members may not be those people, but they are out there, and they're the ones like us doing the work on themselves, and they're the ones that may make a mistake and come and say sorry and come and repair with you. They're emotionally mature enough to do that work on the relationship, and there's lots of those relationships out there, and you can call those in to your life. They're out there and they're waiting for you, especially if you're doing the work on yourself, so you are that person, then you are more in alignment with that energy, and they're really longing for you as well. And I'm still looking for like that chosen family of mine, that massive tribe that I always wanted, which is maybe why I started this podcast, started Heal Your Inner Child, started communities, because I was just always looking for you guys, So I hope you found that helpful. Really use that detachment thing that I was talking about with any of those difficult people at the Christmas period. Do take care of yourself. Seeing people, being around their energies, all of their issues can really take it out of us. So take care of you during this time. And if you are feeling struggles with like loneliness or any of these things, like I just want to say that you are part of my chosen family, and I'm sending you so much love. I know it's hard when you feel like the odd one out, but this is a place, this is a community, and I totally get you. And if you need us, come and join Heal Your Inner Child. And like I said, the survival guide is there for you to support you this Christmas. Not just this Christmas, all of the time. I hope that you have a wonderful December. I'm going to come back with different types of content this month, but I just really felt cool to share this with you because I had some reflections about relationships. All of my clients are like moving through their anxious attachment wounding. So I thought, I feel like this is the universe's way of telling me that I should do a podcast on it. So I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next episode. And there we have it, guys. An episode completed. I hope you enjoyed it and it raised a load of awareness in your mind. There was alarm bells going. You were all like, ding, that's totally me, because that's what I was like when I started this journey. And that is the start of the process, finding out this information and realizing it has happened in your own life. So I really hope it was helpful. And before the next episode coming out next Wednesday, be sure to check us out on Instagram. So it's hearts__happiness. Also, we have a YouTube channel where I share the videos I create for Instagram on. So you can check that out. They come on about once a week. And then we also have a Facebook group if you want to join to carry on the conversation. I want to create a community where we're all talking about our very real experiences and traumas. And then there is also my website called heartshappiness.co.uk, which you can check out to join our mailing list, so that as I create new services and support tools for you all, you're the first to find out. And I have a freebie on there, so definitely check that out. It's 5 books that transformed my healing. So if you really want to kickstart and you're liking the content in here, these books are like the basis of so much of my knowledge. So definitely check that out. And I will speak to you next week. I'm so excited to continue this journey with you to help you to find your own heart's happiness. Take care.